Hello friends, welcome to SFDC Chronicle. Hope you all are doing well. Today we'll discuss design pattern in Salesforce, how they help us to write efficient, maintainable code, and they also contributed to scalability, flexibility, performance, and testability. While some developers actively follow design pattern, others may not have had the opportunity to explore their practical application. In this session, we'll explore their practical application. Today, we will start with an fundamental one, that is the Singleton Design Pattern. Singleton is a creational design pattern. Now, what do we mean by creational design pattern? Creational design pattern means it focuses on optimizing object creation. Instead of creating multiple instances of a class, Singleton design pattern ensures that only one instance exists in a transaction. In this session, we'll explore what the Singleton design pattern is, how to implement it in Salesforce, and a real world use case where it can be beneficial to use. So let's dive in. So what is this Singleton design pattern? Singleton design pattern, as I have earlier said, that it's an creational design pattern which focuses on optimizing object creation. Now, this will, the Singleton design pattern ensure a class has only one instance throughout a transaction. Now, let's start with an use case where we can use Singleton design pattern. So, Singleton design pattern, suppose we have a scenario like we we have account object, and in that account object we created a field called employee strength. Now employee strength is also presented on another object called MNC company object, which is having a lookup relationship with account. So whenever we update employee strength in account, it should update MNC company as well as opportunity also have the same field. So it should update opportunity field as well. So this is one use case. Now, when we update the employee strength in opportunity, if the opportunity amount is greater than 20K, then it should update a field that is present in MNC company that is called free hoodie. It should update that to true. So let me show you in Salesforce. So this is my Salesforce org. This is MNC company and it has an lookup relationship with account and opportunity, and it has one field called free hoodies. Now if this opportunity amount is greater than 20K, so whenever we update the employee strength in um, account or opportunity, so if this amount is greater than 20K, it should update this field free hoodies as check. Okay, so that is our requirement. So far so good, right? Now let's check that one. We created a code snippet like this: public class fetch MNC company, which will provide us all the MNC company that belong to either we can pass account ID, or we can pass opportunity ID, or we can pass both to query all the MNC company. So we just created a method called get MNC company, and we just write a SQL query in that particular method. Now, from account trigger, whenever we try to update employee strength, what we will do, we will create an instance of the class that is fetch MNC company, and we create an instance, and using that instance, that is obj fetch MNC company, will call get MNC company method. So that is how we can do, right? It's the usual coding that we all do in our day-to-day basis. In opportunity trigger as well, we write the same, we instantiated the class and we call the same MNC company method to get the data of all the MNC company, and then whenever the amount is greater than 20K, we will update free hoodies. So I think that is all we can agree, that so far we write the code like this. Now, if you see, like when you convert your lead or when you update the employee strength in your account, what will happen? It will trigger account trigger, and that will create one instance of fetch MNC company. Then again, opportunity trigger will fire, and that will again create a instance of fetch MNC company. So in a same transaction, two different instances got created, and as we are calling get MNC company twice, so the query will fire twice. Okay. So this is a small and simple implementation. It may seem to you that what is the big deal? Because yeah, that is a simple one. We create two instance. We 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 are fetching the we are doing the SQL two times. So what the big deal? But in a small implementation, you will not able to understand the implication. But whenever you are working in a big implementation where there is like lot of complicated um, coding is there, and there is lot of like dependency, whenever account updated, opportunity also updated, and that will update MNC, and again MNC will fire something on the account. So there is so many things going on in big implementation. For that one, each SQL query, each instance creation create a greater impact, because every instance variable is taking some memory in your heap memory. Also, every SQL will be counted on your governor limit. So that's why we need to use a design pattern that will help us to reduce those redundant code, that will reduce creating multiple instance of a class unnecessarily. So how we can able to achieve that one? There comes Singleton Design Pattern. So then let's see in action what changes we need to do to make this fetch MNC company class as a in a Singleton Design Pattern manner. So let me log in into Salesforce, which I am already logged in, and I created this class that is Singleton Design Pattern. Now, to first to follow, I mean to design a particular class in Singleton Design Pattern, some rule we need to follow. One is we need to create a constructor that is private. So at first we created a constructor of this one as an private to limit object creation. If you like define your constructor as private, you will not allowed to create any instance like the way we generally create it. Let me show you that one. So suppose this is how normally we create an object, right? Singleton design pattern, object, then new singleton. Let me run this and let me show you what will happen. I'm getting a error message, that is method is not visible. This is not visible. Okay. Okay. Well and good. We restricted the instance creation, the object creation. Now next what? Next, you need to create a static variable of the class itself, of the class instance variable. So you need to create a static instance of the class like this. Private static singleton design pattern, the name of the object, then assign it as a null value. Third thing, you need to create a get instance method. The get instance method should be an static method and it should return the instance of a class. Inside that one, what we are going to do? We are going to check if the object that we created as private, if that is null or not. If that is null, then only create a new instance of the class. If that is not null, then return the same object. So using this one, what we have done, we stop object creation. We restrict object creation unnecessary of this class until and unless we have the instance as null, then only we are going to create a new one. If there is already one instance exist for a class, we are just going to reuse that class throughout our whole transaction. So that is how you can implement singleton design pattern. In this case, now coming to our example that we have provided, what I have done, rather than creating a constructor that does not have any input parameter, I created a constructor that is taking two input parameter, that is account ID and opportunity ID, and I use the query inside this constructor because I know if only the instance is null, then only it is going to call the constructor. So my query will not fire again and again. Only one time my query will fire, and for that whole transaction it will use that particular data. So here I just write a normal query and then it will execute only once, and then if I call it like this, let's see what happened. Okay. So how to call this one? I created singleton design pattern and I created an object for that one. I just define an object, and rather than using new singleton design pattern, what I am doing, I am calling this get instance method. That is an public static method, and using that one, I am then going to use this list of MNC company and all those things. Now let me execute this one and show you. Okay. So yeah, I got the data. So that is how you can use singleton design pattern. Now let me do one more thing. I will use this one again. Okay. And here what I will do, I will use system dot debug Let's see how many times it is going inside the system.debug. Inside if line number 14. I will save this. Okay, and I will do like this. Let's see. Execute highlighted and debug only. So see, inside if line number 14 is coming only one, and we are getting the debug, the data two times, because we are using the same instance and we are not changing anything. So this one is only coming one time, so that means only one instance got created. So that is how you can use this singleton design pattern. Now you might be thinking of, right, rather than using this one, I can use a static list variable and that will do the query only once. If there is a static variable we define, then it will create only one instance, I mean one instance of that static variable, and we can use that in our throughout our code. We don't no need to create this type of thing. But there is some advantage on using singleton design pattern, because singleton design pattern can this class can implement interface, can use abstract method, whereas our static method or static variable cannot able to use that one. So in that case, singleton design pattern is very helpful. Let me show you with an example. So this is our I created one class called abstract field description. This is an abstract class and I want to get the field details of of any object, right? So I created this map field details, and then I created one object or one method, that is get object type, which I have not defined it. I just define the method name, and then I created a constructor where I have used the schema class. Because if we use schema as object field or description field result, this is like very costly uh, function, very costly class that we are going to implement. The description result or the S object field is very costly. It will, so that's why we don't want to use again and again. Rather, we want to store it only once and then use it whenever we require. Also, I created one more method to get the field details. So that is my abstract class. Till now, there is nothing related to singleton on this particular class. It's just an abstract class. Now, account field description is implemented via singleton design pattern. Here we can extend the abstract class that we have created. Here we can implement an interface as well. But if we are using a static method, we can't able to do that one. So that is an extra advantage of using singleton design pattern over static method or variable. Now here, same thing. We created a um, private constructor of this class and we use super to use the abstract field description class constructor. So that's why we use super. And then what we are doing, the same thing, we are using an get instance, and get instance uh, will return instance of app of this particular class, that is account field description. If that is null, then only it is going to uh, return the object. If that is not null, then it will reuse the existing object. So object field account, we can like here what we have done, singleton equals to null. So we can define it as null here also. We can save it. And then what we have done, uh, get object type, we have defined this particular method, that is get object type. In this one, that is we are getting the account as object, and then to get the description of a particular field, like what is the label of the field, what is the type of the field. So for that one, we just use this one, get field details. This particular method, we use that one. So this is how we can use singleton method. Now, once we implement this singleton method, now what is the benefit of that one? We implemented that one, but we need to understand, right? What is the benefit of this one? So to check the benefit of this one, let me open the debug log. Okay, let me delete the existing debug log first. Okay, I delete all, and then I will run this piece of code. Execute, highlight. Okay, it got executed, well and good. Now, ideally, it should call the constructor only one time, right? So how to able to how we need to double check that one, whether it is calling the constructor one time or more than one time. Because in this case, what we are doing, we are calling this particular get field twice, right? We are calling this get field twice. So as we are using this get field twice, so we should be sure enough that this particular constructor is not calling twice, because as I have mentioned earlier, the schema class is very costly. So then we need to be double sure about that one. So let's check that one, whether it is called only once or twice. Okay. So this is our anonymous, using the anonymous execution, we have um, used this one. So first what it has done, using account field description, it is creating account field description, and then it is calling this abstract field description method entry, and then it is calling the constructor entry. So it is calling the constructor here. Now let me go down and let's check. This is constructor exit. So now what it should happen? Now it will never call the constructor again, though we have used get field twice here and here, but it should not call the constructor twice. So let's check that one. So here the method entry, get field details, this is the normal one, and it is method exit of get field details, because it is, we are getting the shipping address, because at first what we have done, we have called number of location get label, number of location get label of number of locations. So ideally it should number of location, it is printing this one, then it is exiting from the method. So this is one method, right? Exiting from the method, and then okay, uh, and then again here it is method entry abstract, and then abstract field description, and it is printing shipping address. Now if you see, let me go through one more time. This is the first one, this is method entry, this is just a normal one, and here we are just using constructor entry. Okay, so one time constructor entry, constructor exit in this time. Now, if I go next, this is method entry, this is variable scope begin, this is method exit, this is again method entry, this is variable scope begin, this is method exit. So we able to verify that this constructor is not called twice. That means this constructor is not called twice, so that's why the abstract class constructor is not also called twice. So that will uh, help us to reduce the cost that we are bearing by calling the schema class. But as we are calling this get field details twice, so that's why the method entry and exit we are able to see that many of time. So using this one, we reduce the instance or the object creation of the class, and also those whichever is having costly uh, costly like schema class or SQL, those type of thing we can able to reduce. So that is how singleton design pattern can help us to create a efficient and maintainable code. Hope you got some information in this particular video. Thank you for watching this video. If you like this video, please do like, share and subscribe.